for resolutions. I was making this kind of thinking, there. So just some basics on Robert's Rules of Order, because I hosted another meeting prior to precinct meetings back in February, and one of the things I found was a lot of people were wanting some kind of, what's Robert's Rules of Order? How does that really work? So just some really simplified. There are people there that they are all about these kinds of things, and point of order, point of privilege, there are a few people like that, but for the most part, what you generally need to know, if you're wanting to introduce a motion, so for instance, with the discussion on the resolutions, you're going to want to go to the microphone or whatever the designated area is for being recognized by the chair. And once you're recognized, you're going to address the chair specifically and saying, I move, like if you're wanting to amend a resolution, I move that, the wording on the instead of saying puppies are great, we should say Democratic Party believes puppies are great. Okay? I'm throwing something
And
just,
we do.
Exactly.
Let's not argue about it. So we're really hoping.
Or maybe, and then somebody says, friendly amendment, I want to make a motion for a friendly amendment that, no, awesome, not great.
Yeah.
So then it's up to the original person who made the motion. Would they accept that as a friendly amendment, yes or no? And we go from there. So whenever you make a motion, somebody has to second it for it to then be able to move forward for debate and voting and all that fun stuff. And so once you've done that, you then move into your discussion. If it's a motion on an amendment, you can't necessarily do the amendment on an amendment. You have to close out talking about an amendment before you can really talk about making a different amendment. These are things that, this is the point when most people are taking bathroom breaks, unless they really care about that issue that is being talked about. Things like that. Reading ahead to what other ones are coming up. So it can, like I said, it can definitely get convoluted, and some people really love these Robert's Rules of Order things. And the rest, everybody else is just kind of sitting there like, what?
So if you watch,
Yes.
I watch C-SPAN a lot, and I watch the floor of the House and the Senate. Is this similar to what it'll be like?
It's more to my background, I automatically think union meetings. Union meetings and sometimes the state legislature has some of that happens as well. And that's, kind of my background, my go-to on it. But you do get some amount of an idea of, the representative from Texas has the floor. That kind of thing is the chair is acknowledging who is able to speak at that moment. Yeah. That kind of a thing. You get some of that from watching C-SPAN. So once you're then talking about, you have your motion that's on the floor, so it's in front of the body. The person who makes the motion is a person that is entitled to speak on it first and debate. The chair should alternate, if it is something where we're debating, if we're for or against something being in the document, then the chair should alternate, okay, speaker for the for side, speaker on the against side, then for, then against, go back and forth. Unless there's just nobody there for one of the sides. Discussion needs to relate to the motion that is on the floor. You can't bring up some other issue or whatever at that moment. One thing at a time. All questions, even though your question is actually to the person who just said something, it should be directed towards the chair, which that's one that I know gets a little bit off because your automatic response is to say, oh, you said, so I'm going to talk to you, not this person over there. Then debate will be subject to the time limit set forth in the rules report, unless there is the opportunity where the body could decide to override that. It has happened. You have to have, it's not just a simple majority to override that. That's, I want to say 2/3 or 3/4. There will be a parliamentarian there.
To override what?
Huh?
To override what?
To override, so you can say everybody really wants to debate this one thing, there's a whole lot of interest for and against something. The rules, you're following the rules unless somebody makes a motion to override the rules report and allow for more debate.
Okay.
Which can happen. It doesn't happen all that often, but it has happened. Typically, that's more at the state level, where you really have that happen. Because you do have some things that have, like I said, the guns especially. Like that's kind of your biggest example where you end up with a collision of the rural versus suburban versus rural versus urban. Then amendments, an amendment can be made to a motion on the floor, and like I said, you can have the friendly amendment that doesn't have to actually be voted on. The person who made the original motion can say, yeah, I'm fine with making that change, and then it's changed in that way. You can have point of information where somebody's, a debate's going on and somebody's getting a little bit lost, and so somebody can say, might say point of information, which is asking the chair to clarify the motion that's currently on the floor, and ask for some other piece of information pertaining to that motion. Especially when you start having like a discussion on amendments, you hear a lot of stuff's getting said all at once, and wait, what exactly is the amendment we're talking about now? How exactly are we planning to change this? I want to make sure I'm clear on that. Point of order, discussion going on doesn't pertain to what is on the floor. Basically a request to get things back on track. Sometimes you don't mean to, but you go down rabbit holes. And so just trying to get things back on speed. And then I also included, I shortened it down to a bit.ly link. So more on Robert's Rules of Order. It's kind of a 101 primer that goes into a little bit more about some things that can happen. But for the most part of convention, those are the things you're really seeing for the most part. And probably you need to have some understanding to follow the ping pong a little bit better. So then we come to electing state delegates. So this is the one that's really fun.